So the budget is out, and believe it or not, this is Jeremy Hunt's first budget ever. Now, this is being labelled as a growth budget, and overall, the economy is doing better than they thought they were doing last time he done his little mini budget after the whole Liz Truss events. But of course, she and Kwasi tanked the economy like no one has before. So saying it's better than it was back then is like saying smashing your face on the floor is better than being run over by a car. So we're told inflation is going to come down, only a 0.2% decline in GDP this year. But don't be fooled that it's all from the government, because this is going to be a natural occurrence. So inflation was caused by supply chain issues and the fact that everyone, the whole world, completely shut down their economies. So naturally, as this all comes back in and the supply chain goes back to normal, inflation will come down. But of course, the government is going to take full responsibility for this. Now, the government has found themselves with extra money when it's come to this budget, and that is mainly due to them taking in more tax. So with the tax band freezes, a lot of people that have either changed job or got pay rises have been put into a higher tax bracket, meaning the government is taking in a lot more money in tax. Also, just had January, which is when everyone has done their tax returns, so again, more tax money coming in. So the main theme of this budget is just that, getting in more tax money, and they want to do that by getting people back to work. So obviously, because of the pandemic, a lot of people for the first time in their lives have been sat at home, not having to work and still having some money coming in, and that's made people realise that actually they don't want to go to work, and fair play to them. If they can afford to do it, what's the point in going back? So to help with this, there's a raft of measures the government are bringing in. First one being childcare, which is a great thing. Parents can now get 30 hours per week help for 38 weeks of the year, and this goes all the way down to children from 9 months old until they go to school, so effectively from when paternity or maternity leave ends. Now, if you have children, you'll know that childcare is ridiculously expensive in this country, 4 times more than most of our European counterparts, so this is going to be a great lifeline for a lot of working parents. However, this doesn't start for 12 months, and even when it does start, it doesn't go straight up to the full 30 hours. In fact, you're going to have to wait till September 2025 before you'll get that 30 hours help, meaning the people who've got children in that age bracket now are not going to benefit from this at all. Obviously, some will get a little bit of help and some will get no help at all by the time it comes in. And shock horror, September 2025, just before a general election. Sticking with this theme, people on universal credit are going to be helped back into work. Generally, this means that they're going to try and push people back into work with measures taking away things. We're not sure how that's going to work out yet, but the idea again is more people in work equals more tax. There'll be more help for disabled people in the workplace so they can do more hours or get back to work if they're currently not working. And we'll also have returnships, which are apprenticeships for people over the age of 50. Again, one of the main brackets that are not returning back to the workplace. One of the main things I was most happy about in this budget was the reforms around pensions. So we have now got a limit of £60,000 per year you can put into a private pension rather than £40,000. For most of us, this will make no difference whatsoever, but in case you did get a big lump sum of money, then you could put it into a pension rather than being taxed on it, so that's nice to have a little backup. However, the best bit about the pension reforms is the removal of the lifetime pension savings allowance. So before the budget, you could only put up to just over £1 million in your pension across your lifetime, and that includes all of your pensions put together. Now, you might think, well, this is a lot of money, I'm never going to get to £1 million, but if you have a workplace pension from 18 with your employer contributing as well, chances are with the growth you will be above £1 million by the time you come to retire. If you add a personal pension on top of that, you're going to get there a lot quicker. So this has been scrapped altogether, so now there is no limit. Now the cynics amongst us will say, well, that just means people that are from wealthy families can store wealth in pensions and pass it down to future generations outside of inheritance tax. But to be fair, should the government be taxing money you've already been taxed on and saved? I don't think so. So this is null and void for me. This means that a lot of people will stay for longer in jobs they would have perhaps left before now. And that's because some jobs have a lower salary and a really generous pension contribution or pension scheme. NHS doctors being one of them. So when they got to that £1 million mark and they can no longer take that benefit in their pension, or if they do, they are charged and they are taxed to the hilt, then they would just stop working because there's no benefit to them. They're getting the lower salary and they're not getting the pension contributions, or they would leave the NHS and they would go to the private sector where they got a higher salary and the pension wasn't that good. These people are now more likely to stay in their jobs for longer because they can accumulate those benefits. We've got both good and bad news in the personal tax allowance and the tax bands. They haven't changed, so you won't be getting taxed any more money than you currently are, but equally they haven't become more generous, meaning you keep more of your earned money. The hype we've had around ISA allowance being cut from the £20,000 per year seems to have died a death, and that's a good thing, so that remains at 20k for now. We're having fuel duty frozen where it is, so we've got a 5p cut on fuel duty at the moment. That'll be staying where it is, and also the planned hikes have been cancelled. Beer duty has also been frozen, so restaurants and pubs are going to benefit from that, but word has it that they're going to increase the prices for alcohol you buy at home to sort of bridge that gap, to push more people into the pubs and restaurants, so that's both give and take. The defence budget is going to get a big boost, and that's because of the war and currently what's going on at the moment, and people are afraid that Britain is heavily unprepared if the worst should happen. Veterans will also be able to get some more help through different funds and new funds that are being added, which is much needed. Other good news is the energy price guarantee. This is going to be extended to July, so it'll be stuck at the current level, which is £2,500 for typical use. After this time, at the current forecast, it's looking like the energy price cap will be below the £2,500 by then, so your energy bills are going to stay where they are and hopefully reduce, which is great because this is a massive part of lower earners' income. Help for businesses features quite a lot in this budget as well, and although it might not benefit you directly, more companies, bigger companies, more growth, in theory helps everybody. It means more tax money from the government, so they're less likely to try and get it from workers. It means better jobs, it means higher paid jobs, and it means more jobs, more companies to work for, different opportunities. It's good for GDP, and there's many other benefits as well. There will be 12 key investment areas, and these places will benefit from things like no stamp duty when you're buying a property, no business rates when you're setting up a property, and the idea is to push people into areas that are lacking in jobs and lacking in opportunities, and also to draw people to the UK. Something called full expensing will allow other companies to deduct the full cost of investments they make in things like machinery in the first year that they buy those investments, effectively making them free because that could be money they'd pay in tax. Instead, they're getting it straight back the second they buy a new bit of kit. This would usually be split over many years. The bad news is corporation tax is sticking at the 25% increase. Used to be 19%, so that's a 6% increase for all limited companies. So the company you work for now has 6% more tax. That means less profit. If you have dividends in shares, that means less of that is likely to be paid out. That means less money for a pay rise, less money for investment, less money for expansion. It's not good. It also means prices will be higher because the likelihood is they'll pass these costs down to the consumers. We're told that nuclear power is going to be seen as green. This is hopefully to invite investment into the UK. This should help energy prices way off in the future, but nuclear power stations take 5, 8, 10 years to make, so that's not going to change anything in the immediate term. The 19% basic rate that was meant to come in, that's nowhere to be seen. No doubt this again will appear when it comes to just before election time. With a lot of other things in this budget, it seems to be a theme here, just kicking it down the road, sort of pre-planning what you're going to get just before they go into a big vote and need to win a lot of voters. The big takeaway for me is things are slowly getting better. I believe they're slowly getting better naturally, but at least the government hasn't made it worse by mismanagement like they did when Liz Truss released her mini budget. If interest rates are not going to have to rise as much because inflation's coming down, that's a big help for many households. Lower interest rates, lower mortgage costs, more disposable income. You also have the energy rates that have already come down. They're just waiting for them to filter through. Yes, inflation is still high, and it's going to be, they predict 3% by the end of the year, and that's 3% on last year's increase, so it's still going up, but at least it's not massively worse. It'll be interesting to see what they do before the general election to try and win those votes, but we're just going to have to wait and see. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.